How's it going, guys? Dragonstar Protection here, back with another What If video. This time we're going to be covering part 10 of What If Shallot was canon. So if you guys haven't seen the other parts, there'll be a playlist linked right above and more than likely below. With that said, let's get into the video. Alright, so last time we left off with the Tournament of Power, and in fact we left off with a pretty big cliffhanger. Shallot was able to tap into Ultra Instinct as he then starts to get the better of Jiren. Shallot then would power up his most powerful attack yet, being the final Wild Cannon. The blast was enormous. In fact, the attack was so big it was blinding. Everyone was amazed. Vegeta stood in awe but knew that he had something inside of him that was completely different from the power that Shallot had obtained. Leek couldn't be more proud of his father, while the rest of the Z Fighters were stoked for Shallot as well, thinking that this could actually be an easy tournament win for them if they eliminate Jiren now. However, Kakarot, on the other hand, had completely different ideas than just sitting around. Kakarot got to the highest rock he possibly could, as he then raised his hand asking for energy for the Spirit Bomb. And luckily so, because Shallot's body was drained after the final Wild Cannon. Shallot was panting, feeling his body break, but Jiren, on the other hand, was holding his super power blast back with ease. Shallot then gives his last push, causing his body to completely collapse in pain. Jiren then gets knocked back by the blast, but then flings it towards the world of Void, exploding into a million sparkles draining from the sky. However, one thing Jiren wasn't expecting was Kakarot shooting down a Spirit Bomb right towards him. However, this would cause Jiren to power up. This is because Shallot's attack left him with no choice. It caused too much damage on his body, so Jiren bulks up, exerting a lot of power, as Jiren would then catch the Spirit Bomb with his eyes, similar to the way he does in Canon. The only difference is Jiren is powered up, meaning the Spirit Bomb won't do a thing to him. In fact, Jiren tosses the bomb right back towards Kakarot, as Kakarot sees everyone he cares for, everyone he loves being erased, and if he wants to live, he has to counter this counterattack from Jiren. Kakarot puts his hands out, still damaged from his first fight with Jiren, as he then closes his eyes as his own Spirit Bomb collides with his hands. Jiren though sees what's happening here, and he darts in at Kakarot. This is because Jiren doesn't want Kakarot to achieve Ultra Instinct just like Shallot did. However, this is when Vegeta would decide to come in, charging up to his full power, this being Blue Evolution for the very first time, as he would then intercept Jiren's fist. Vegeta knows that he's more or less just holding Jiren back for the time being, and in a way this kind of pushes Vegeta to do even better. It angers him to where Vegeta is actually connecting with some hard punches against Jiren. However, just when Jiren is about to full power gut punch Vegeta, Kakarot absorbs the Spirit Bomb and also achieving Ultra Instinct. And what does this mean? Well, Vegeta does eat that punch from Jiren, but Jiren eats his own from Kakarot, who comes flying in, nailing Jiren over and over. Jiren was in panic mode for the first time in this tournament, and his fellow Pride Troopers seen it as well. Dyspo darts in, and Toppo as well. However, they don't make it to Jiren and Kakarot. Dyspo found himself surrounded by two half-breeds, Leek and Gohan. Leek and Gohan, already in their ultimate forms, had a clear advantage early. Shockingly, Dyspo can't keep up. Leek alone stands a solid match for Dyspo, so adding in Gohan, Dyspo could barely do a thing besides, well, run. Except Piccolo aids Gohan and Leek by stretching both of his arms out, where the three being in a sort of ring barrier for them, kind of trapping them in, similar to what Frieza did with his cages. Dyspo crashes headfirst into Piccolo's arms, trying to break his arm, but this obviously hurts Piccolo, but he continues stretching his arms out. Dyspo attempts to do the same thing again, but Gohan won't allow it. Gohan manages to grab Dyspo in a chokehold. Leek notices the opportunity to eliminate Dyspo as Leek quickly rushes toward Dyspo, placing his hands right above Dyspo's stomach. Leek then says, "Piccolo, Gohan, when I say Gran, get out of the way." And with that said, Leek then charges up a Ki Blast with his hands as he then yells, "Grand Buster." Both Piccolo and Gohan are able to escape, but Dyspo does not. The blast shoots Dyspo right off the stage, eliminating him much earlier than he did in Canon. As for Toppo, well, he gets into blows with the Prince of All Saiyans, Vegeta. Vegeta still being on the ropes from fighting Jiren, I'd say Toppo has the upper hand at first. Vegeta can't even power up into Super Saiyan Blue at the moment, so Toppo grabs Vegeta and aggressively punches Vegeta over and over until Frieza steps in. Yes, this causes the God of Destruction Toppo, but Vegeta had enough time to actually regroup from Frieza taking this beating from Toppo, and he's actually able to now use his Blue Evolution form. This means Vegeta, like in Canon, gets the better of Toppo and eliminates him, so I'm not really going to cover much of that. And for the last two of the Pride Troopers, Toppo and Kakarot, Go for a down Shallot. Shallot, although can't power up past Super Saiyan, I believe Shallot would have the edge against the two, but Giblet decides to help his brother by taking over in the fight. Giblet wastes no time at all either. He goes straight into Super Saiyan God and pulls a Stone Cold. Giblet weaves Tupper's Ki Blast, punching Coquette across the jaw, as he then quickly turns back, kneeing Tupper right across the face, bursting his scouter. Giblet then turns as he then grabs the two, slamming their bodies together, having the two fall, unable to move where they're at. Giblet then spins back, looking over Shallot, and says, "I wish this could be you." Giblet then lifts one hand, blasting the two troopers like tumbleweeds right off the stage, as Giblet then would fly off. This then leads us over to another fight to where Leek flies off and finds himself in a beautiful fight. If you couldn't guess, Leek is fighting Riven. Leek, though, for starters, does not care about Riven transforming, so he dashes straight in because he's more worried about his universe being the last one standing. So before Riven could even transform, Leek would charge a full power energy wave that edges Riven right to the side of the ring. Her fellow Universe 2 teammates aid her, but they find themselves in trouble as well because Gohan and Piccolo once more help Leek in this battle with Universe 2. Gohan charges up at Kakunsa, who was prepared claws out. However, Piccolo finds himself on the ropes against Rosie. Piccolo was attempting to use all different types of techniques such as his Triform and the explosive Demon Wave, but Piccolo just couldn't seem to keep up after getting, beat up by Dyspo during that fight. Leek, on the other hand, wasn't going to let Riven even breathe. Leek kept with his solid hard punches, but Leek also knew that the fight was almost over with Riven. Riven couldn't regroup, so Leek took the opportunity into his own hands, as Leek would then gut punch Riven, throwing 4 ki balls off the tip of his fingers, as it would then explode upon contact with Riven. The explosion was rather large, and when the smoke cleared from it, Riven was left sitting in the stands watching the rest of the tournament, hoping that Rosie and Kakuza could actually pull it off the win. But let's get back to Shallot and Kakarot, as these two decide to actually watch each other's back, especially because Jiren was still in the tournament and they both wanted to achieve Ultra Instinct again. However, the two taking a break doesn't last very long because Universe 6 Saiyan Khalifa comes in guns blazing, except instead of Kakarot, Khalifa is more interested in Shallot. This is because Shallot was the first to power up into Ultra Instinct, so Khalifa has more of an interest in him. However, Shallot tries to brush Khalifa off, but of course she isn't going to back down. No, instead, Khalifa goes into Super Saiyan and darts at Shallot, who catches her by the forearm, throwing her over his shoulders. Khalifa then tries to shoot off several ki blasts, but Shallot weaves them all to reach her and then knee her right in the stomach, as he then charges into Super Saiyan when he nails her. Khalifa's body collapses, knees to the ground, panting to breathe, as Kakarot would then notice Kale on the sidelines beginning to get very, very angry. In fact, Kale was actually powering up into her berserker form unknowingly, and immediately she would start shooting off 1,000 ki blasts before immediately darting directly towards Shallot. Kakarot, though watching, steps in to aid his friend. However, Kakarot wasn't quite prepared for the beating that he was about to get after he just got one from Jiren after cracking for the Ultra Instinct. Kale uppercuts Kakarot as she would then stomp straight on his stomach. Shallot then tries to help, but Khalifa is back on her feet and this time mad as well. She screams as he then charges into Super Saiyan 2 for the very first time, and Kale was berserk, so when the two female Saiyans hit Shallot, it almost breaks him in half. Shallot was now the one on the ground trying to catch his breath, but a berserk Kale is going to have none of that. Kale grabs Shallot up by the head as she then would beat him, thinking that she's the Hulk. Shallot couldn't get a second to even attempt to transform, while Kakarot was now battling it out with Super Saiyan 2 Khalifa. Shallot, though, knows that Khalifa isn't any trouble, but he got a lot to hold his own against Kale. Shallot decides to get the beat down, hoping that Kakarot would eliminate Khalifa and be able to help him sooner, but for some reason, Kakarot decides that it's more important to train her than eliminate her. But instead of getting mad, Shallot then eases his mind. He simply focuses on the fight, eyes closed, not worrying about anything around him but the fight itself. And eventually, Shallot goes from eating punches to weaving punches. And then, as Shallot opened his eyes, everyone knew that Shallot had once more tapped into Ultra Instinct, but this time, Shallot looked different. His hair, everything about him just looked different. Shallot was in Ultra Instinct Omen. Mastered Ultra Instinct. So Kale being Berserk here really doesn't even matter because she doesn't compare in power when it comes to Shallot being a mastered Ultra Instinct. She tries to dart in at him, but Shallot weaves every single punch just to deliver his own directly in her gut. Kale crumbles to the ground as then Shallot would charge up a basic Kamehameha to easily knock her out of the ring before Kefla could even become a thing in the Tournament of Power. But Shallot still had something in him with his Ultra Instinct. His body didn't feel like it was breaking just yet, so he then charges through everybody, dodging past literally every single person in sight just to kick Jiren directly across the jaw. Jiren goes sliding backwards, but like Shallot has done before in the past, he wastes no time in the fight, knowing that if the job needed to be done, it needed to be done now. Shallot powers up into his full power as he then uses a final wild cannon once more right in close range. Jiren obviously is being pushed back by the attack, but it was then when Shallot lets the blast go as he then power rushes straight through it, hitting Jiren with a double-fisted punch straight to the stomach, right in the rib area. And like that, before everyone could react, Shallot and Jiren go falling over the edge, eliminated. And that is actually where we're going to be leaving off part 10 of this video. If you guys want to see a next part, be sure to like this video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon, that way you can get a notification whenever I upload. With that being said, Dragonstar Productions is out.
Congratulations, champ. You made it to the end of the video. Now, if you hit that subscription button, that thumbs up button, and that bell icon, you won't catch a dynamite kick.